So now we talked about it now as far as who we think kind of snuck into that conversation, who we think is going to actually make the roster once the preseason's done here. But we also got to look at who's not on the roster right now. So the question is, should we add a free agent wide receiver? Should we add someone who's available there? And that muscular gent on the left of the picture there may very well be one of the options we talk about here. We always give that away now. Problem with pictures. It's the problem with pictures. Everybody in the audio land is all like, I don't know who's going to be yet.
Who are you talking about?
First up here, I'm going to give you guys a list of some receivers. Now, I'm going to give you a fair warning. Only one of them is under 27 years old. They're most older guys. Again, that's what's usually available this late in the season. First one is Hunter Renfrow. Obviously played with the Raiders last year, 25 catches, 255 yards. He's just 28 years old still. Had his 1,000-yard receiving season back in 21. So he's shown a little something there before. Slot receiver, little guy. Fits the offense, I think. Michael Thomas, you want to go for the ageless wonder who just, used to be great, just hasn't been. Yeah. Well, he's not even that. He's just not good anymore. He's come back from these injuries. He's not the same guy. With the Saints last year.
He was
39 whole year. He was there last year. Most of it.
He was
39 catches, 448 yards, and 1 touchdown. He's now 31 years old. Was a 1,000-yard receiver from 16 to 19. So again, who used to be one of the dominant, if not the most dominant receiver in football during that time period. Definitely not that guy anymore. The one that we had in the picture there, Zay Jones, who was with the Jaguars last year.
Jaguars.
34 catches, 321 yards, 2 touchdowns, and that's in just 9 games. So to give a little perspective there at that point, it's like 1 game over halfway. So if he kept that pace, he probably would have had about 550 yards for the season there. And then he's 29 years old. Best season was the prior year in 22 with the Jaguars when he had 823 yards. Obviously, this year, they added Calvin Ridley, so he went 1 peg down on the depth chart there. McCole Hardman, who of course started with the Jets last year. We all know how horrible that went. And then went with the Chiefs and 15 catches for 124 yards. He's 26 years old, the youngest of this group. And then Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who of course played with the Chiefs also as well last year. 21 catches, 315 yards, and 1 touchdown. He's just 29 years old, so still on the right side of 20 at that point there. Right side of 30, I should say. And I got to tell you guys, I'm not intrigued by a single one of these guys.
No, not at all.
I'm really not. Now,
you put the picture up, say, should we get one? I just want to say no. Here's our options currently.
Yeah.
Things could change.
Now, I'm going to tell you guys, before I went ahead and put everything in today, and I had the list actually for the notes for this episode here done, over the weekend, actually. We had a different player on this list that got signed this week. And he's the one guy that I would have probably been intrigued by. Only because I think he would have been a decent receiver for us. Wasn't very expensive. I don't know if the Giants even talked to him. But it's Tyler Boyd, who's now 29 years old. Had 67 receptions, 667 yards, and 2 touchdowns for the Bengals last year. He's just been that consistent 600-700 kind of reception kind of guy, without being the star. Obviously, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase are the stars there in Cincinnati. So,
correct.
But he signed a $4.5 million deal, 1-year deal with the Titans. So. And obviously, his old offensive coordinator is, I believe, who's the head coach down there. So obviously, there's a little bit of connection in that way as well.
No,
so
the offensive line coach is now the offensive line coach down there. His son is the head coach.
No. His son is what I'm saying. Was the Callahan, I believe, was the offensive coordinator for the Bengals. Hold on. Hear me out. Brian Callahan, the head coach for the Texans, last year was the offensive coordinator for the Bengals.
Oh, yes.
That's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say. You're thinking
And he
you're
told his
thinking his
daddy what
dad,
to
who was the
do.
offensive line coach for the Browns, not the Bengals.
Touche. You're right.
So
You're right.
yeah.
Except for
So
the brown
Brian
ants.
Callahan. Yes. I'll tell you what, I can get a good look at a steak by sticking my head up a bull's. Anyway, we do Tommy Boy references. I love that movie. Tommy Boy. But like I said, there's obviously a connection there. He's obviously didn't get the contract he was probably hoping for. So why not go to a guy you know knows you and you trust and obviously have somewhat of a relationship with? So that's where he ended up going. So otherwise, like I said, I'm good. These are all older receivers. These are guys that if like a big injury
Chopped
happened,
liver.
I was, like a big injury happens, what the hell, let's bring one in and see what happens. Maybe Zay Flowers is probably the one I'd be most intrigued with that group. Especially if it was Hyatt or Slayton that got hurt, because that's the kind of role he is. He's that speedster kind of receiver. Hunter Renfrow also because of the fact that he fits the offense. But with barring any injuries, I'm good. I'd ride it with who we got. Let's hope Neighbors develops to the number one we think he's going to be. Let's hope Wandell gets healthier and has that 100-yard catch season. And let's hope that Jalen Hyatt gets some experience he needs and Slayton does his thing. We'll be fine then. So.
Sounds good.
All righty.
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.